Hello, hello. I am here. I have worked on my technical issues. Yeah. And I lied again. We're still working on this drawing because I didn't do the research I wanted to. I didn't finish this drawing. I've been kind of lazing about. Anyway, for those who don't know me, I am Sparkly Anarchy. I am a obsolete physics research unit. I was unsuccessfully decommissioned, and I decided to use that stroke of luck to follow my dreams of becoming an artist. They say that's usually a path to starvation, starving artists and all, but you know what? I'm a robot. I don't need to eat. So, let's get into it. Since last time, I think we were just touching on finishing the flats for the drawing. And I've gotten a little rendering done since then. So let me go through and just like take away all the rendering stuff I've done just to give like a bit of an idea of what it looked like beforehand. And then just the city. So yeah, that's essentially what it looked like last time for the most part. And so, as you can see, I've gotten quite a bit of work done since then because I was trying to get this finished before then, but I was like, okay, there's no way. This is way too detailed. I think from now on I'm going to have to just, like, if I do a full-on illustration like this while I'm still slow at drawing, I think that's just going to have to be, like, just 2 dedicated weeks of streaming. Which is whatever, you know, that's fine. But last I was working on, I believe I was gonna just let the people be done for now, and I was gonna get back to them later because I do need to add more shadows and then also the shine from the lanterns on them. But I wanted to work on the park background, just to finish it all up because as you could see, if you look a little closely, the background in the park is very flat compared to the people, the lanterns, and even the city background here. So, what I'm going to do so I can help myself color a little bit more is I'm going to turn off my people group and my lantern group. And I thought I turned on airplane mode, but I guess I forgot. Hold on one sec while I do that. You didn't get the notification again and you were staring at the screen. You really need to fix your notification. Well, that stinks. I wonder if it's because I've heard some people recently have been saying if they're on a VPN, Twitch just does not cooperate for whatever reason. Like, it doesn't even, like, properly put follows into other streamers' activity feeds and stuff, so it might have something to do with your VPN, if you're on one. You're not using it? That's really weird then. Oh, you know the problem. Well, it's good that you figured it out. It's set to personalize instead of always. Okay, okay. That would do that. Alright. So the funny thing is, when I get to, like, the rendering stuff, this is the part where I'm experimenting the most, because this is the part that I'm, like, the rustiest on. So, like, bear with me. Ooh, that's a lot better. It's too blue, though. Bear with me while I, like, go through brushes and then erase and then go through brushes again. Yeah, that's about the texture I'm looking for here. That looked really cool. Yeah. I like going through all the different brushes and see what I can essentially do with them. Trying to keep in mind that you don't want to use brushes as shortcuts for skills, but they can be really nice shortcuts, essentially. You just gotta know how to use them proper. That is a clipping mask. Huh. Oh, I see what's going on. I was like, how's that the clipping mask but going over? So lately my sleep schedule has been really messed up. And just to ensure myself that I don't get too interested in the background noise I put on to sleep, because I can't sleep in silence anymore for whatever reason. Like, there was a couple years in my life where I could, but now I just absolutely can't. So I will just go on to one of the 3 movie streaming services I have, and I will challenge myself to find the worst movie possible. And I just could not sleep. And I was out in the living room trying to sleep, because sometimes if I can't sleep in the bedroom, I can't. Or I could sleep on the couch instead. Well, 2 movies in a row. I don't even remember what they necessarily were. I sure as shit don't know what they were about. But I think one was called Warlord. And fun fact, Jennifer English is in that. So, like, she's the voice of Shadowheart and Mael from Claire Obscure. So, it was really funny. It was a movie called Warlord. It was something about, like, elves going to war with humans. And it, like, left off on a cliffhanger. And it was a movie made this year or something, and I was just like, good luck getting the conclusion of this, I guess. So I only saw the end of it, and even then I wasn't paying attention because I was trying to sleep. And there was a concept called an elf ogre. It looks like just a regular-ass ogre, so I don't know why they need to specify that this was an elf ogre. Or maybe I missed the rest of the movie, and maybe there's, like, a whole context where there's just, like, regular ogres, or maybe, like, dwarf ogres or something. But I feel like it didn't need to be specified as different. And actually was just sitting there and being like, what the fuck are you watching? And then they got offended when I answered them. I was like, how? Is it trying to be like a Aruki High thing? I'm not sure what that means. But the movie after was called The Remains or something, and they just got even more offended that I was putting on shitty movies. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to sleep for a little bit so I'm energized for later. And the Lord of the Ring, the Uruki High is supposed to be. Sorry, a cat got in my way. The Uruki High are supposed to be fallen elves corrupted into orc-like beings. Honestly, your guess is as good as mine. This was not a Lord of the Rings movie at all. This was something entirely different. The choreography was bad from what I saw. The acting was bad. Jennifer English seemed okay in it. Like I said, I only saw her in one scene, and she was easily the best acted in that whole ordeal. And then speaking of movies that, like, make me go, what the fuck, what was even the point of this? Apparently that disaster movie, I think it was made in 2020, called Greenland, is getting a sequel, or got a sequel, and it's in theaters right now. Did you hotkey that count? No, I just copy and pasted it. I should hotkey it, but, like, the thing is, the keyboard in front of me is so shitty that the whole bar with the F keys and the escape button are sticky. So it will cause issues if I try to hotkey stuff to that. But no, it's just copy and paste. But yeah, Greenland is got a movie called Greenland 2, and I think it's called, like, Migration or something. I don't remember what actually told me for sure, and they are asleep right now, so they're missing genius. Sorry, that's way too full of myself. But I am super excited. Not excited enough to see Greenland 2 in theaters or anything. But I am very excited to see that movie whenever it comes to whatever streaming platform it is. Because that movie is like 5 movie plots in one. And it feels like a waste of your goddamn time. But you can't look away. You can't look away. Me and actually got fucking stun-locked watching that movie together. And even upon rewatches, if I put it on to, like, just, like, sleep or whatever, there's, like, a huge risk that them and I are just going to sit there and just, like, get not necessarily mad, because, like, it's not bad in a way that gets you mad. Depending. I do have my issues with it. But it just stuns locks us, because we're like, what was the point of this whole journey? Like, why so many plots? Like, there wasn't much disaster in that disaster movie. It was just a whole lot of nothing burger shit. But no, the astrophysics in that movie is shit. The amount of time, the physics in general, I guess, if you want to go into, like, nuclear physics and, like, disaster stuff, because, like, a lot of science in this movie is just, like, a bastardization of physics, but I just think they were trying to be too accurate instead of just being, like, fantastical and ridiculous. And that's the risk you take when you try to be quote-unquote realistic with your science in really fantastic, impossible situations. In that... So there's a whole meteor that hits, and it's the size of... Oh god, I can't even remember what it is. All I remember is that... Oh, the first one it hit... The first chunk of meteor that hit the Earth was, like, I think described as the size of an SUV or something. And the just devastation they showed on movie was pretty fucking bad, don't get me wrong. But the amount of devastation they showed, and they even had, like, news clips and newsreels, it's, like, not as bad as it actually would be in reality if something like that hit the Earth. Which, that bothered me. And I was like, okay, you know what? I never really studied astrophysics. It was the type of physics I was least interested in. So I gave it a pass. And the big one... I guess it's okay. I feel like it would have caused more devastation, but, like... When a disaster like that occurs, when an asteroid, meteor, whatever the terminology is, again, I wasn't really into astrophysics or astronomy or anything like that. It was like they were in the safe house bunker for less than a year, like 9 months or something. And not only was the air already safe to breathe, there were fucking birds flying around. And, like, this was an earth-ending cataclysmic event that, like, flattened all of the world. Or at least that's what they were claiming the entire time. So just to see them open the doors after only 9 months, which is a ridiculously, like, fast time for all, like, the toxins and the dust that would have, like, been churned up in such a disastrous thing, in that little time is fucking insane. So, like, alone, the breathable air isn't crazy. But, like, if birds were flying around 9 months after that cataclysmic event... That means that it took less than 9 months for the air to be breathable. Or, even more ridiculous, you could breathe the air, like, immediately afterwards. And that birds survived because they were flying, which is not how that works at all. It was... There's a lot about that movie I like, or I gotta give, at least, not necessarily like, but at least have to give props to. But that's definitely one of those moments that, like, the more I think about it, the more I get pissed off at Greenland. Because I'm like, that's not how any of this would work. That wasn't, and I could be entirely wrong. Someone could, like, correct me. Maybe they did their actual research and this is what would actually be the state of things after an event like that. But I don't have high hopes that they did their research properly. I just think they did, like, what sounds right based on vibes, and their vibes were wrong. Which is wild to me, because you'd think they would have done, like, more than 2 minutes of research for something based on the whole fucking premise of their movie. Like, yeah, sometimes you're gonna have to bend from reality to make a more interesting story, but, like... There's a difference between bending the rules and just straight up just being wrong. Because there's no reason, and maybe it's because they did have this fucking sequel planned ahead of time. Oh, hi, Spore. Thanks for lurking. But, yeah, maybe it's because they had their sequel planned ahead of time, and maybe that's why. But there's no reason that movie had to, or like had to end with the vault's bunker safety house opening after 9 months. There's no reason for that. They could have had it at least to be like, I don't know, 5 years, something like that, especially since like it's 5-6 years later that this movie's coming out. So that's not unreasonable, and it would have been more believable. It's still a little fast for stuff like that, but it wouldn't have immediately taken me out of it during the finale of that movie. Do you have any cool physics facts? Yeah, okay, I will put that in the count too. That was pretty bad. I'm trying to think. I am starting like a whole physics facts factoid sheet. You know what? Hold on one second. Let me get that out on my phone. Because I do find one fascinating, but it is kind of lengthy. Okay. So, there are 4 fundamental forces that dictate interactions with, like, why we stick together, why we don't fly away and stuff like that. And that would be in order of weakest. No, do I have this in the... No, I don't have this in the order. But the largest and smallest scales are gravity, electromagnetism, strong nuclear force, and weak nuclear force. So, okay. You're probably not going to know what... I'll go through each of them. So gravity, you know, that's why we fall towards the earth and stuff like that. Everything has a force of gravity. Excuse me. Like, even this pen I'm holding, yourself, you have a force of gravity. It is just very weak compared to the other forces of gravity keeping you to the earth. Because the earth is so massive compared to us, it has a stronger force of gravity. That's gravity. That's why we stick to it and stuff like that. Electromagnetism is like electricity and the magnetic poles, stuff like that. That's another force that keeps things together and how it makes things work. Now, the strong nuclear force is, and let me make sure I'm getting this right, because I do have NASA's website. Are you not going to open for me? Hold on, my browser's not working. Okay. Strong nuclear force is like on an atomic level. So that's why you're probably not exactly familiar with that type of force. Because that's not going to be taught in your, like, high school or elementary school physics. Or even until, if it's, like, the college system I went to, it's not going to be taught till, like, Physics 3. Because you're going to be learning, like, Newtonian physics for Physics 1 and 2. Well, Newtonian physics in Physics 1, and then, like, magnetism in Physics 2, and then you're going to learn the quantum stuff in 3. So basically, the strong nuclear force, that's going to be what keeps protons and neutrons and electrons and stuff all stuck together and stuff. Making it so it doesn't fly away. This is the strongest force that keeps everything together. Now, the weak nuclear force, and this has to do with something called spin. And I know for sure, at least Adam, you don't know what that is. And I could be getting this wrong too. But basically, it's a force that kind of flip-flops certain particles on an atomic level to like positive and negative, or neutral and positive and stuff like that, like with electrons and neutrons and all that stuff. I guess spin is more like on even the smaller level, like quarks and stuff. That is... So yeah, that's essentially the basics of the 4 fundamental forces. And to put it from the strongest to weakest, strongest to weakest, I believe, and I'd have to double check this, that the strongest is going to be the strong nuclear force, and then it's going to be electromagnetism, then it's going to be weak nuclear force, and then gravity is going to be the weakest of the 4 fundamental forces. Which is crazy to me, because, like, gravity is, like, a very defining feature of our existence. It makes sure that we are stuck to the Earth. We're not floating off in space just randomly. But yeah, that's one of them. I have to rewrite the wording on that fact in my little document I'm working on. But yeah, that is basically the breakdown of stuff. I'm gonna hopefully look to have a redeem in the future that will allow me to have like 50 to 100 physics facts that will float out from random. And I'm gonna have, like, the references on hand just so I can, like, look up and make sure that I am correct. And then the thing about science is things are constantly changing, even in stuff like... even in Newtonian physics and stuff. Because the more we discover about quantum level physics, the more that we kind of have to adjust our expectations for Newtonian physics. So, like, Newtonian physics is being, like, inertia and the basics and stuff that you would have learned in high school. Just because we are getting a context of a deeper level on, like, why these certain rules are being broken. Or we discover that quantum is doing some... at a quantum level, movement is happening in such a way we don't fucking understand that... we're just like, okay, we know that this rule can be broken, we just don't know why at this point. We don't know why when something gets so little that it gets broken. Like what with superposition, which is based on... well, okay. So it's that thing where, if you've heard of it before, where particles like electrons can be treated both like a particle that is in a place and a wave, like a light wave, just as long as it's not being observed. So, in a way to put it as you understand, you guys have probably heard this scenario, but that's Schrodinger's cat. Funny enough, the guy who made up the thought experiment of Schrodinger's cat was trying to show that superposition was, like, really silly, but ultimately it gives a really good idea of what we mean when we're talking about superposition. And that is that while we're not observing the cat in Schrodinger's cat... you know what? I'm not going to assume that you know the setup to this, so... Schrodinger's thought experiment is that you put a cat in a box with a decaying isotope that's radioactive, and once it gets to a certain point, the cat will be dead because of the deadly radiation. But while that box is closed, we don't know if that cat is dead or alive. So, the cat is simultaneously dead and alive. How does that apply to physics? So, when we're trying to observe something like an electron and how that behaves, there's something called a slit experiment, where essentially we're trying to see how the particles behave when they go through a couple slits. And we've seen how it works. Like, an electron can seem to be in 2 places at once, acting like a wave, just moving through that. And in that, but like, it's if you're not observing it, so you're just seeing like the general behavior, not like looking at a singular particle. It's kind of behaving like a wave. But if you were to go into that particle and measure it, it's in one spot because now we're observing it. And superposition kind of just explains that phenomena, being like, we don't know why it seems to act like a wave when we're not observing it, but it does. It does. Like, as long as we're not observing it, we can use it in our math to act like a wave and stuff. It makes models way easier. It's just basically like a simulation model thing. Because when we're working at like such a tiny, small scale, it's very difficult to harness that stuff like reliably and all the time. So we sometimes have to do stuff or like rely on stuff like superposition. And I haven't studied superposition super hard. I only have an associate's in physics, so I want to put that like disclaimer out there. Like, I could be saying some wrong shit. I did read on this recently, so this is how I understood it. So please feel free to correct me. I don't want to put out incorrect information here, but that is how I understood it. It acts like a wave because it likes to surf, but only sometimes. Yeah, those particles, they are very shy. They fucking love surfing, but if you try to look at them surf, watch them surf, take a photo of them surfing, they will immediately drown. That's how embarrassed they are about their surfing. They would rather die than be caught surfing ever. You're recently reminded of Detroit Become Human. Did it happen to be because of the reference images I asked of Akshi the last time around, or is this a separate reason? I know people say that actually it was because a video popped up about it. Oh, okay. Yeah, I know people say, like, that game is trash, and it probably objectively is, but, like, I don't know, I enjoyed my time with it. It's kind of like how, for people who like these movies, you go to a Marvel movie, you're not expecting a masterpiece or anything, you're just expecting a good time. It's the best bad game. Yes, I agree. I think the concept's interesting enough. They didn't do anything, like, unique with the setting or anything, but I think the concept's unique enough and story's fun enough to just, like, you can excuse how it's not, like, the world's greatest game or anything like that. And, like, at least some of the bad aspects of it that I'm thinking off the top of my head is really funny. Like, the really bored... like, the really bored, robot strippers. I think they were the guy ones. I think that's the whole brouhaha that was about that, because I know that was, like, a huge controversy or something. It's just, like, yeah, the women are, like, sexualized and they're acting like they actually are doing the jobs, and then you finally, like, get the guys, and they just look bored as hell, and I think that's hilarious. Like, I support those kings. Like, you do the bare minimum, sir. You don't get paid enough for this shit. They're androids. They don't get paid at all. Exactly. You know what? Even more respect. They don't want to be there so much. They're going against their coding. or whatever, and instead of crashing out like all the robot protagonists in the game, they just decide to phone it in. And I respect that hardcore. They're like, they don't want to go out and make the changes. They just want to fucking get the shit over with. Just wait for closing time and call it good. They could just stop showing up with anything. I'd rank the stories Marcus D tier stories, C tier plus spectacle. Kara B's all around. Connor as plus plus. Yes, yes. I will agree. I will agree with that entirely. I was waiting for Connor's because, like, I don't know. I fucking love Connor and Hank's dynamics so much. It's definitely a generic, my kid died, you become my new child, I love you. Now, you have made me feel the first time in, like, since the 5 to 10 years that my child was alive or something like that. Like, the same story you've seen 1,000 times, but I don't know. Hank and Connor are so lovable. You ever see the version of the scene where Hank shoots Connor? No, I haven't. You'll have to show that to me later, and I wish my laptop wasn't a traitor, because then I would just, like, show it right now, but... But I think my stream would crash, because I couldn't even run the Islanders game on my laptop last night without it, like, looking like potato mode. For a goddamn puzzle game. You remember you were watching someone play it, you just don't remember who, but... They were doing such a bad job of making Hank like them. Holy shit. No, I played the game with Akshi, and while they were playing the game, I dictated all the choices, and I made sure that we became, Hank's good little robot son. And then it got to the point, and Hank just shoots Connor in the face. Valid. Valid. That dude, especially towards the beginning, comes off as like, you say one wrong thing, he's gonna shoot you in the face. I'm glad that he has the gumption to do it. I do like, and maybe I'm just misremembering, but I do like how it was easy for you to go in and replay scenarios so you can get all the scenes in that game. I have no desire to do it, but I know that there was some, like, crazy, like, dedicated fans to that game that probably, like, really appreciated the quality of life that provided. Because I guess I've seen games since then add that, but, like, I don't recall any games that did it beforehand. It's such a garbage popcorn fun game. Yes, that's the perfect way to put it. I've been thinking this whole time, and I was like, how do I put what I feel about this game into words? But yes, garbage popcorn game is perfect for that. But I'll give it massive props that it completely commits to your choice mattering. Yes, yes. Like, such little choices, and Like, Choices Matter games have gotten, like, a little bit better about it, but, like, still I don't think they reached the level of Detroit Becomes Human. But, like, there was so much shit that was, like, so little a minor that I'm shocked made a difference and mattered. Like, if you fuck it up, car's dead and that's just it. Yes. Yes. We saved Scum and fixed that because we did end up getting her killed at the checkpoint and stuff. Also, like, massive Detroit Becomes Human spoilers randomly, I guess. I was also thinking about, like, when you discover the kid is also an android. And how you can turn off her temperature controls. That she could just, like, fucking die that way. Was, like, really interesting. Because, like, usually a choice that small, the game gives the illusion of it actually mattering. And maybe it does for, like, 5 minutes. But no, that one straight up, like, actually had permanent consequences. And maybe they felt comfortable doing that just because they made it so easy to go back and replay scenarios. I like how you can just legit just abandon Alice when you find out she's an android. Yes, I forgot about that. I would not have the heart to do that even upon, like, a replay to see everything. Yes, what a wild sociopathic choice. Yes, I agree. It's just like, man, you had been, like, helping this kid out the entire time just to abandon it because, like, whatever. And the game changes because of it. Yeah, I respect that. And I wonder if it, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think Detroit Become Human came out episodic like Telltale games and stuff like that. But I wonder if it's because, like, it wasn't episodic that they were much more easily able to do, like, complete changes of the game because of that. I can't even begin to imagine, like, what goes into coding games like that or keeping track of stuff like that. All I know is that it's probably, like, a crazy complicated if-else statement. Or at least that's how I can logic the code from the outsider looking in and having, like, an amateur level knowledge of coding. And being that I know how to do very basic things in Python and MATLAB. The craziest bit is you get some of the best writing in that game if you do abandon Alice. Oh, really? I believe you, but do you have any, like, examples or description of, like, what that is? Because I personally don't have the heart to abandon Alice. Nor am I ever, like, planning on ever playing that game again. Maybe on stream, we'll see, but as of right now, I don't have a plan for it. I think I've seen everything I needed to see for that game. Yeah, it's a quick scene. I don't know what it is about tonight, but I've had 2 of my 3 cats decide that right now, the perfect playground is right by where I'm working. This place has been, like, untouched the entire day until about 45 minutes ago. But now this is the fucking place to be. And it's not like either of them want my fucking attention. They just want to be menaces. You can see Carl looking at a pamphlet for another Alice model, implying that she's essentially taken after Todd and is just replacing her failures with androids and continuing the cycle of abuse and neglect and just papering over it. It's so dark. Holy shit, I love that though. That's great. No, it's stuff like that, like the things that Detroit Become Human does well, does it really, really, really fucking well. It's just that it's between a lot of mediocre shit. Mediocre or outright bad. But like rarely it's one of those things that like get in that situation because like I get what when it does stuff really well but like has like a lot of bad to it. I like get mad at the whatever piece of media it is just because I'm like, you are clearly capable of doing better things. Like what the fuck is wrong with you? But like for some reason, for whatever reason with Detroit Becomes Human, I don't even get like mad in that regard. I'm just like, you know, whatever. Me and Yeek. Oh my god. I can't believe I speed ran the stages of it's not grief, it's just discovering Yeek. The stages of Yeek. Yes, the stages of Yeek. That's the only way to describe it. And just being like, what the fuck is this shit? This shit's like sucks. This is like really badly done and stuff. Oh no, they're doing some stuff where I can see what they're trying, but they can do it so much better. No, I feel like I don't remember the exact points I was making, but I feel like if I sat through like watching the playthrough again, or God forbid I ever play it myself someday. Hi Louie, thank you for downloading RAM. But God forbid if I were to ever play Yeek myself someday, I feel like I would just be crashing out on stream the entire time. You too. Yeah. I feel like you would just be making it worse. Like you would be prodding me, you would be baiting me into crashing out. So like you would be crashing out, but I think you would just be so distracted by me crashing out that you would be spared in a way, I think. That being said, the only way to deal with the curse of Yeek is to pass it on. Yeek is the video game version of the movie It Follows. You have to pass it on or you will die because it's driven you absolutely insane. That being said, I do have plans for like absolutely terrible games for this for in general just because like I grew up playing with them or playing them. I was reminded that the game Scalar existed. Fun fact, that is like one of Matt Mercer's first roles. So like I don't know what he's done lately, but Jotaro from JoJo, that's Oh god, what's McCree's name now? I don't remember what they changed it to, but the cowboy from Overwatch, whatever the fuck his name is right now. Cassidy, I think. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that he played Johnny Test-esque character who turned into a lizard in this alt reality. I'm planning on eventually playing that because I think that would be rad as hell. I also think it'd be really funny. It has nothing to do with the vibe of my channel or anything like that. I just think it'd be really funny. I'm surprised he still takes on roles with what with Critical Role's success. That's fair. Meh, I mean, he probably just really likes voice acting and stuff a lot. He's very prolific. Maybe he's just one of those guys that just can't sit still. Kind of like how like so many people like do content creation and they're like crazy busy all the time and then they say they retire and then like not even like a month later they're back being like, I can't leave it behind. That being said, I'm glad that he's still doing work because I like his work. I don't really like Critical Role. I got really bored trying to watch it. But that's probably more to do with me not vibing with podcasts and live plays as well. Or at least because I just can't like keep up with them as well. Even when I'm playing a campaign myself, I can't keep up unless I'm taking like a million notes. You zoned out halfway into season 1. I zoned out halfway into the first half of the first episode. I didn't make it that far. But that could also have to do with like I am generally like not a D&D person. And as I find more games systems and stuff, I get even more that way. And like I haven't played it. Maybe if I were to play it like in its actual intended game design setting, I would like it. But I think it's one of those things where for most things I want to do, a different gaming system would work better. And everyone tries to fucking shoehorn D&D system into genres that has no business being part of, like not I guess not even like genres necessarily, but like in IPs that has no business being part of. Like I know you've seen this too, Adam, but like stories of people saying they're trying to convert Warhammer Fantasy campaigns for the D&D rules. And I'm basing on my knowledge of like what's all for skill checks and stuff from Baldur's Gate. But like that system is way too limited to get to some of the nuances that Wolfrep does. 5e is a hero combat game. It sucks. Yes, I really don't enjoy it. I don't judge people who do like it, like especially if you're trying to find games, like good luck finding people will like in a general basis in general, like good luck finding a group that doesn't just stick to 5e and stuff, but man, does it blow. Give me hard simulation any day like Woofrup. Yeah. That being said, I still want to try like Call of Cthulhu and stuff and see how that goes. I still really like Cyberpunk. Read a lot. I am going to be getting in and reading like Cyberpunk 2020's rules here soon just to see like what the difference is that. But based on what I've read, Cyberpunk Red's rules are a big simplification of the 2020 rules. So maybe it's like we're going to be at least putting it in terms that I have personally experienced is like an old world versus Warhammer 4E sort of jump. Like Warhammer Old Worlds tabletop RPG it has been simplified quite a bit compared to 4E. So I'm curious to see if that's the situation with 2020 and like maybe a little too simple. I always feel so limited. I think it's what you make of it and what you want to do with the campaign. I think you really need to look into it because I know that we were all trying to get Cyberpunk to work properly in the Wolfrop system. And when we were outside of combat, it worked. When we got into combat, it fell apart, in my opinion. I think Cyberpunk Red's current rules fits the feel of combat you want for a cyberpunk setting. I just don't. I think it's impossible for the way that Wolfrop 4E is set up for it to capture the feeling you want in a cyberpunk level high octane battle. It goes too slow. It's so easily broken though. Okay, in Cyberpunk Red's defense, you broke it without even trying with stuff. In that system's defense, we hardly read the rules. We have looked at the core rulebook once. We depend on the app. So I'm assuming there's quite a bit of nuances that we're just completely missing. And that being said, I have seen you break 4E, so... Because, like, you break 4E with Kassar just as easily in the same exact way as you did with Chef and Cyberpunk. And also the difference is I throw more at you guys in 4E than actually typically does when it's one of their campaigns. So I'm curious to see how it'll look when I like actually start running Cyberpunk again. Okay, but that's because he's never attacked by multiple enemies. I don't know what you're talking about or which character you're talking about because that applies to both. But I still do think that you broke 4E pretty easily. Grappling's too broken in my opinion 4E, but I don't know how to fix it in a way that's fair. It's only strong against a single target. I mean, you rules lawyered your way into grappling a Jabberwock. So I'm gonna stand by that you just easily break combat stuff in general. But anyway, the more I look at the cyberpunk system, the more, at least in combat basis, I like it a trillion times more than Warhammer 4E. That's a single target. You should not be able to grapple that beast regardless. And that the rules allow you to do in the first place, there is something wrong with the grappling rules, in my opinion. I mean, technically you can't. I mean, you argued to the point where I relented because I tried to say no at the time. But it didn't is the thing. And that's why I'm saying I think grappling in general is just too OP. But no, I'm not really, like, as you know, I'm not really a combat person in general. But, like, if I had to choose playing through combat, the only system, and I guess we've only played 2, the only system I really found combat, like, close to fun in is Cyberpunk. It's very fluid, and yeah, it's a little simple, but I mean, you're gonna be... You manage to find broken builds regardless of what we do, so, like... I'd rather go through a fight with 6 enemies that takes 30 minutes rather than a fight with 6 enemies that take 2 hours. Because with Wolfrip, you have to rules lawyer literally every single fucking action because Wolfrip did a horrific job of explaining itself. My ADHD just cannot, like, handle how Wolfrip is. And we played the simplified version of the rules. I think you just ruined it for me because you don't use standard tactics. You're always up to something. Can you say you're always up to something, though, if one singular mechanic is so broken that you just use the same thing for every single battle? Like, I think that's just testament to how broken grappling is. And, like, I'm not gonna stop anyone from using it. Like, you have your own fun. It's just, like... Just to say that Wolfrip isn't easily breakable is just objectively false. Based on how you play the game, especially. You haven't countered it by sending in multiple targets. I mean, fair, but I'm not going to shoehorn in extra enemies that don't make sense. Like, I know you were telling me, it was like, oh, just to counter me, just throw rogue ogres in randomly. No, that's dumb. That would bother me a lot. And I did try, but, like... No, I have tried before, and you guys just ran away. Which is fine and all. Like, you're not forced to sit through a battle, but, like... You can't point at me and say, well, you never give me multiple enemies to go against when you run away from instances where grappling wouldn't work like you claim. And I think when you're dealing with the same exact conditions in Cyberpunk, I think it's really unfair to say that it's easy to break when you are claiming that in Wolfrip you never face more than one enemy. Well, you weren't really facing more than one enemy in Cyberpunk either. So, based on your claims alone, Chef was stacking bodies, what do you mean? Not really. The only instance that I can really think about that with is he was chewing like 3 guys a turn. I don't recall 3 guys ever being involved. I recall 2 during the drug heist, and that you were in an advantageous situation because it was like sort of a hallway thing. And the vowels. There is also like 1 target per each ally in there, so that doesn't even really count. And you weren't the primary target in that situation either. No, I'm not saying that you have to like Cyberpunk as much or stuff like that. I just personally prefer it. I don't remember what Chef did in Arasaka, if I'm being quite honest. I don't remember multiple guys being involved, though. But you don't have to like Cyberpunk more than one or the other. I'm just saying my personal preference is I like Cyberpunk's fighting system more than Wolfrip's, hands down. That's just how it is. Like, in terms of a gameplay fun aspect as a player, I like Cyberpunk a million times more than I do Wolfrip. Wolfrip gets way too overcomplicated and unfun and way too debatey about minute shit that I get bored and my ADHD makes my brain wander. Like, that's essentially what it comes down to. But anyway, it has been... If we didn't have the app, I'd be debating just as much in Cyberpunk. But why, though? Why does it make a difference? The debating the rules instead of just waiting till the end of the session is part of the reason why I guess it's why combat has been turned off for me. Just because, like, we're stuck in this scene for so long with so little activity on my end that my brain starts wandering and I'm just like, okay, I want to go back to doing the fun stuff in the campaign again. But anyway, it is past the hour. I need to take a little bit of a break, but I will be right back in a few minutes. All right, I am back. Sorry, that was a little bit longer than I intended. I got a little bit sidetracked on checking my notifications. But I am back. And we were talking about battle systems and stuff in tabletop RPGs. But no, I think what comes down to it is combat gets a little bit heavy because I'm not actively talking to people. I'm not actively moving anything forward for very long periods of time in Wolfrup. Partially because debate happens so often at our table. And maybe that's just an our table thing, but like, as a result, it makes it that I'm not really huge on battle. I will do everything in my power as a player character. "1000% your problem with combat is with me. Like, I can just tell if I was a more standard player, you would not have the same problems. I just wish I could turn it off." I'm not saying that you need to change or anything. I'm just saying that I physically cannot keep my attention for that long if I'm not actively doing something. And unfortunately, like, debating the same rules with every single combat scenario just, like, falls under that. I'm not saying you necessarily need to change the way you play or anything, or, like, there's anything wrong with that. It's just the unfortunate side effect of that is that as a player, it makes it so I personally just want to avoid combat as much as possible. If it's bringing your enjoyment down, it's your fault. No, it's just I need to find a better way to find my own fun. I don't want to blame people for having fun in their own ways. Like, that's just a shitty position to take and not one I really want to stand by. It's just, like, as a GM, I'm more fine with it because, like, while you debate the rules, I can pay attention as much as I want. I know what decision I'm going to make at the end of it, unless you make something, like, really compelling towards me. Like, that just gives me time while you're debating rules or whatever. I can write notes down, I can make sure that I have my combat lineup just, like, set, and I didn't forget anyone. Like, it gives me time to do some bookkeeping in the background while I'm talking to you and stuff like that. But as a player, I'm just kind of sitting there waiting. And, like, it's just different ways to play. Like, I generally... Yeah, it's my bad. No, seriously, please, like... I don't want you to sit and blame yourself. That is not what I'm here for, and, like... I will end the discussion if that's the path you're going to keep going down, because that is not at all what I was saying. I really, really don't want you to put words in my mouth for this, please. Because it brings way too much negativity here. Like, that is not at all what I'm saying here. I'm just saying we enjoy different aspects of battle, and due to that, I play characters that thrive in different aspects, because you don't need combat to make a campaign go. You can do so many other things, so I just value that in a character more than doing combat and stuff. And then as a result of that, if the faster the combat, the more I'm going to like it. And also, I just think Cyberpunk's combat in general is more fun. I like all that goes into that with the weaponry and stuff. I think a lot more thought is put into the weapons, honestly, which is crazy because they go for a more generic, like, 3 types of of handguns, of shoulder arms, of... Okay, more like... Yeah, 3 types of handguns, shoulder arms, and melee weapons, but... It feel like... In Woofrup, to me, a club and a sword... Okay, maybe not a club and a sword, but... A sword and an axe. They feel essentially the exact same to me. Whereas, like, for every single weapon choice in Cyberpunk, they all feel very different. They all have their pros and cons, and it's very nice. Like, it's very, very immersive for me. Whereas Wolfra probably has, like, a bajillion different weapons. And a lot of these weapons are just renamed, reskinned versions of a same exact weapon in, like, a different book or something like that. Like, yeah, it's nice to see weapons from the minis statted out for the tabletop RPG, but as someone who's never played the war game, or who hasn't played the Total War video game, or I guess to a lesser extent, like Vermintide, maybe that applies in those aspects. Seeing those weapons statted out doesn't give me the same dopamine hit of someone who would already know those weapons exist. So, like, as someone who has learned all their experience through Woofrup, is that it's a lot of overcomplication for the same, like, 6 weapon types. Essentially. Like, it's essentially the same 6-ish weapons or whatever it feels like in every campaign. Just with a bunch of different names. Whereas it feels like there's like 6 weapon names in Cyberpunk, and each one of them has like something so different feeling about it all. And I admire that, and that adds to the fun and stuff like that, like having the gear matter more in its purpose is really nice. But no, I don't want you shitting on yourself in the chat. Like, stop trying to shoehorn, like, making things your fault. That is not at all what I'm saying. We just enjoy different things, and that's okay. That's always okay. That's always allowed. Like, it's fine. Like, very kindly, don't make me put a rule about this, because I just feel like it should just be common sense. Like, we shouldn't be just, like, unnecessarily shitting on ourselves here. That's not the kind of vibe I want for people to have. I'm not doing that, but it'll stop this line of conversation, obviously. I mean, like, I'm enjoying the conversation. I just don't like you just focusing on the negative aspects and just like kind of falling on the sword just because I don't like a certain aspect of something. It's just okay for me to not like something. But I am very excited to read more of all the books for the cyberpunk system in general. Just because I think that we had just such a surface level knowledge that I don't think we've even like dipped a pinky toe into what we can all do with that game system. And so I'm very excited to eventually run a game in that. I've been very giddy, but like I need to not think about it too much because I do have a Wolf-Rep campaign I do need to finish running. I'm just kind of like written into a corner right now and got busy and planning a singular session of Wolf-Rep for myself. Especially since I'm basing it off of something as complex as the enemy within. Takes me a minimum of like 20 hours per session. What the fuck, your streams are muted for how long? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But yeah, planning a session to the level of quality I want to do, especially if I do some like homebrewing stuff, between research and writing and statting stuff to be an actual challenge because 4E does a fucking abysmal job of statting its characters. Takes me like a minimum of 20 hours a session. And I just don't have the time. Well, I guess I do have the time to dedicate it to it technically. It's just not even in my like top 5 list of things that I need to get done. Especially for the level of time commitment. And that's even before considering like the nuances of solo sessions and stuff like that. So I have been kind of putting it off. Even though like I've been kind of wanting to GM again. But also like I'm waiting to get that same level of love and dedication to Warhammer Fantasy again. Because once I have that again, I'm way more willing to put in the effort required for, or put the effort required to do a session to the level of quality that my players are used to so far. Okay, 20 is a little bit of an exaggeration. That's more like 3 sessions, but I plan them all at once because like they're usually like tied into each other, and I don't know how quickly players are going to burn through sessions, so I like to have three what I think should ideally be 3 sessions planned ahead of time. Because for all I know, plan A and B are burned through or circumnavigated because I didn't think of something obvious within like 10 minutes. And that's just, like, kind of fill time in the journey. Like, if I'm doing something, like, character important that's actually, like, integral to their character story, I have to sit and spend a lot more time for that singular session compared to, like, than if I'm doing just, like, one from the book or, like, something on a journey along the way. Because, like, that matters for the character growth and development, essentially. So that one you have to be especially careful with. Or at least I do, because, like, having it feel like your character doesn't matter or isn't going the way you want, or, like, they've changed to a point, like, where, like, it wasn't what you expected or hoping, is, like, a really fast way to stop being into the campaign, because, like, the guy you're playing as, like, suddenly just isn't what you're wanting to be at all. And that's always stinks. That always sucks. It sucks for, like, literally everyone involved. It sucks for the GM. It sucks for the player who's experienced it themselves. It sucks for the other players playing with you. Like, so that's why my job as a GM, I try to make sure that the character stuff matters, but sometimes it's just like, you get in your own head, you can't get it right. And then I got busy with life in the middle of one of those situations, and I just haven't gotten back to it. But we'll see. I told myself before I could run anything, like, else, I need to finish this Wolfrup campaign. And then I think from there, I probably won't ever run Wolfrup again, because I'm way more interested in the world of Cyberpunk right now. Unless, like, I fall back in love with fantasy. Like, I never say never and stuff like that. But, like, as how it's looking right now, from a GM standpoint and stuff, like, the world of Cyberpunk, a big boon of me running it eventually again is I have to do way less research. There's way less, like, esoteric research to do. Especially with the characters that my players typically choose. Like, in Warhammer Fantasy, it's tied to a lot of very interesting but obscure lore that requires a lot of research on my end. Whereas in Cyberpunk, like, your character backgrounds can be literally anything you want. And in that literally anything you want, you don't have to do nearly as enough research to get a good basis to make the character's, like, immediate vicinity, especially starting out, feel authentic to that character and what they would go through. You just kind of have to understand, like, what people go through, essentially. Whereas, like, before I made it more complicated for myself, Adam chose a character that was essentially from the Chaos Wastes and, like, adjacent to one of the tribes, so I had to spend, like, hours upon hours, like, looking through very obscure sources, because they're not easy to find, because we moved on to different, like, tabletop systems, and, like, a lot of the stuff that I wanted to look for just was, like, just difficult to find in general. I will never have to run into that with Cyberpunk. At least not with the players that I typically have. And, like, it's really cool Wolfrup is that way, don't get me wrong, it just makes it a hell of a beast to write for, especially to keep it interesting, especially since my group, and this has, like, interacted with the enemy within story, like, 6,000 different times, it feels like. So, like, it's also that pressure to keep things fresh. I don't know. I'm just rambling about my GM stuff, but, like, essentially, like, I'm just excited to explore Cyberpunk more eventually, and I'm probably going to do, like, a lot shorter campaigns so I'm not feeling like I'm biting off more than I can chew, essentially. You tried to go back to catch up, but I just keep getting further and further behind. So instead, I'll say, sorry I got lost. I don't know what you mean with that. Are you talking about Lawhammer? I feel like a comment was dropped off here. In your stream because I muted you somehow and didn't notice. Oh, okay. I mean, it's fine. Like, I was just rambling to myself. Like, I'm not entitled to your full attention all the time, even if you did, like, accidentally stop listening or whatever. Like, I was just rambling. I was just rambling about, like, GMing and stuff. And just essentially saying that, like, GMing for Cyberpunk will be a million times easier than Wolfrup, in my opinion. Just start your new... Anyway, you should just pull the triggers. Just start your new Cyberpunk one. No, because if I do that, I won't finish the Wolfrup one, and I really need to finish one. Especially since I like Pip and Seraphina and stuff. Two NPCs, for those of you who aren't in the know. To abandon them like that. And Kagan, especially Kagan. And you'd rather have something nothing. That's also a fair point. Go where your passion is. Fair enough, fair enough. No, I think I need to stop running really long campaigns and do a lot of short stuff before and work my way up. Kind of just take the advice of other writers. When you rediscover it for Warhammer, you can return. That's true, that's true. I do have enough notes where I can give you guys, like, a rundown, and honestly, Death on the Reich, especially where we're at now, is as good of starting point as any. We haven't really got too far into Death on the Reich. We haven't really interacted with any of the story because I skipped the tower with the dwarves, and I'm just going to do it a little bit differently. Just because I liked the proposed alternative in the book. At least a little bit better for the pacing that you guys had planned for what you got going on. Perfect time to branch out. Yeah, that's true. I do want to read through all the Cyberpunk Red references before I get to. But, like, that's just a matter of me sitting down and doing it. I do have a storyline picked out for for Cyberpunk, and it's going to be just sort of like a... I guess since all three of us have to do this for the Cyberpunk system, I guess, is just like a heist drama. But like I said that Owen is going to just be your fixer, so... Where the fuck is it? So yeah, this guy will be like, who's in charge of your stuff. Can I be my robot dog? We would have to negotiate. I would have to write the story, and then we would have to negotiate mechanics. Quite a bit, actually. But as of right now, with how things go in my head, I don't know if it's possible for that to work. Because with a lot of the culture is how I understand it, and all the stuff that you would need to do prep ahead of time, you wouldn't be participating as much as a player as I'd want you to, is the thing with, like, characters like that. Like, I know you would still be able to talk and stuff, but I don't think NPCs would take you seriously enough to get the amount of information and interaction that I would like you to have, is the issue with that robot dog idea. You can be bad cop as a robot dog? Yeah. I would need to hear your premise more to even consider it. Because you know me, I'm a little bit pickier when it comes to especially those heavily homebrewed characters like that. Just because of my experience, I'm not a very good, like, GM in terms of, like, trying to balance stuff homebrewed like that. So I think you'd probably be better off, like, still pitching that to Akshi some more. Because I personally don't see how it would work, especially if you're, like, going with a... Especially with the type of character your fixer will be. I don't know how the trust levels and stuff would work without rehashing the way you did your heist campaign, but just slightly gayer. And, like, I mean, like, in an actual gay way, because, like, your fixer is going to be extremely gay. Oh, that's what's going on, yeah. No, but I think the biggest thing is, like... I've seen you play characters in the same vein, like with ogres and stuff. And usually that means you step back from doing anything outside of, like, combat and stuff. So I guess I would just like to see your elevator pitch for how you can contribute, essentially, outside of combat and stuff. Like, I'm sure you can. I just need to not have it have, like, a contribution imbalance. I'll never get to fulfill my dream of being a heavily armed robot waxing philosophical about what it means to be human in the middle of a rocket salvo. I mean, you could definitely try it and pitch it to Akshi. Like, you could certainly try that, but like, I am more concerned on the experience of all the players and the level of contribution you could do. Because if I'm going to run my heist campaign, it's like, unless you fuck up, there is a chance that you guys will very rarely run into combat. So, like, if the only thing your character can meaningfully contribute to is combat, that's probably not the character for this campaign. Is essentially just what I'm saying. The intention is they are built for war but desire something more. And that's fine. I could potentially have a campaign in the future. I can't make any promises for that. But for this particular one I have in mind that's been kind of been writing in the back of my head, a character like that will not fit. Like, I see the vision and stuff, but with something like that, you also have to make sure that the character fits for what the pitch campaign is. Like, yeah, like, both people, like, the GM's gonna have to, like, do some leeway and, like, make some adjustments based on the character. But, like, that is so, like, hardcore taking the story that I sort of have planned in my head in such a different direction to the point where, like, I have to just tell you, if you really want me to run that character, you need to hold off then, because this is not the story for it. No one will walk away satisfied with how that character grew if you insist on playing that one for this campaign. That's the best way I can put it. Like, it's not a hard no, it's just kind of, in my opinion, this is not the campaign for that character. I like how deadly serious you're taking this. I don't know, like, I want to give that warning out because, like, coincidentally, Owen had become one of those characters where I used him too many times in campaigns that I probably should have come up with a different character for. And I regret not coming up with a different character because now Owen's one of those characters that I will just never get to explore the way I always wanted to. And I mean, that's just the reality of it. Like, I will never, ever, ever get to experience him and see him grow like how I was hoping to. I will never get to see his ascent to Ronaldan priesthood and stuff like that. Like, and I don't want someone to fall in love with a character and then have myself, like, cause that same situation. Like, that's why when you say you have a new campaign idea, maybe one of your campaigns can give him another shot. And I'm sure it can. The issue with you doing that is when I ask for your elevator pitch of what's going on, you refuse to tell me anything. So I will, unless you, like, change for that specific scenario, I will never use Owen for one of your campaigns because I don't know ahead of time if it's going to work out for him or not. And I'm just to the point with him, and it's backfired on Owen so much, to the point where I'm not going to take anyone's word for it. I need to hear the elevator pitch before I throw him in there, essentially is what I'm saying. But I would adore giving him another chance. Can you be honest with me? Yeah, sure. You despise elevator pitches. I can tell. This is not news. But, like, I'm not going to bring Owen out based on just trust me, bro. I have brought him out on too many just trust me bros, and it has backfired every single time. So I need to make sure that this campaign will actually work for him, and I will actually see the growth path that I want to see for him. Like, now it can diverge and stuff, and that's fine as long as it's happening in an interesting way. But, like, in all the stuff where it's backfired with Owen, I didn't even get to step 1 with him. I didn't even get to step 1. And that I guess that's what hurts the most. Like, I didn't even get a chance to explore the stuff with him. So, like, that's why I just need a basic of, like, what is going on? What is the purpose of this campaign? Otherwise, I'm not going to bring him out despite how much I desperately want to play that character. I want to play him so badly. I want to play him so badly. I want to play him, and I want to play Stassi very, very, very badly, because I'm very, very into those characters. Especially Stassi with a devout, but not a blessed, of Katya. I'm very interested in both their stories. Unfortunately, like, they've gone nowhere for one reason or another. But that's why I'm kind of just like, I need to be told, I promise you I'll give you a shot for him. Okay, yeah, I mean, I'll give it a shot, but, like, it really... If you're going to actually do that, I'm probably going to be very annoying and, like, be in contact with you the entire time. I didn't end up giving you that one for Stassi because I knew you would not like where it went. That's fair enough. And, like, I'm kind of glad that that one personally fell apart. Just because when I re-rolled her with, like, a new... Like, gave her the same personality and gave her a lot more emotional intelligence. I like her a lot more as this bod who's a devout of Katya than I ever did as her as, Hedgewitch. So, like, that one worked out in that it fell apart. Because, like, I think as a result, she has a much more interesting character arc going. She just needs to... Yeah, sure, you can let me know where that's going. But yeah, in terms of bod Stassi, that just needs to get started. Because we haven't even started that campaign. We did 2 sessions and then it fell apart. Which is fine. Shit happens. But, like, once we get started again, or maybe if we never get started again, that's just another character I'll just have in my back pocket that I desperately want to explore. But yeah, Adam, just so you don't assume, I'm not assuming that you're typing. I did say yes to your question. I just wanted to reiterate that just in case your stream paused again. Or if you don't feel like sharing on stream and you want to just share with me later, that is fine too. That is fine too. Be'lakor was luring her to Kislev to show her the truth about her family, and it was going to end up with her killing the Slaanesh Tamrikin brother and Be'lakor stealing Ursun and turning Stassi into a demon prince. Oh, okay. Tamrikin's the worm, isn't it? And I'm not sure who Ursun is. But here's the thing. That can go one of two ways. If it... Ursun is Kislev's god. Okay. If there was a way for me as a player where that was a risk, obviously, that'd be fine. But, like, I could have stopped it somehow, or if I, like, did the right things, I could have stopped it. It was fully in my power. I would have been okay with that. If it was one of those things where no matter what I did, Stassi would have turned into a demon prince, yeah, I probably would have, not liked it. No, that shit is really cool and really fascinating. No matter what you did, Be'lakor was getting away with Ursun. Okay. I don't know the significance of that too much because I don't know anything about Ursun or Kislev. The rest was up to choice. Okay. Fair enough. No, it's a fascinating story, and I think I would have been fine with it. I think I would have been fine with it. That being said, I don't know any of the lore. Like, I know who Be'lakor is, and I am familiar with Tamrikin. But I don't know the lore enough to make a full determination. But based on face value, on the context clues I'm able to put together, that doesn't sound too bad so long as I was able to prevent some stuff. Be'lakor getting away with Ursun is the part that I'm kind of iffy on because I don't know the significance of that, and it would entirely depend on... Yeah, I think that's essentially it. I think they think entirely different character would have been way better for that. Because I was just going to say, like, that being said, like, I would have enjoyed that with a different character. I'd enjoy that with a different character at this point. I just think, yeah, you're right. Stassi was needed to be a different character than she was. And like I said, I am very happy with the bod version of her, and I am excited to eventually play her. In whatever form or campaign that looks like. Like, as she's rolled, like, maybe I have to take her back to the 0 XP state or whatever, but, like, I will eventually play her. I am very excited to play her in whatever form that looks like. Alexander was Be'lakor, basically. Okay, that makes sense. I took what Akshi was originally doing with Stassi, which was also Be'lakor. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's really funny looking at, like, those original ideas and stuff, because it's like, baby's first understanding of Warhammer Fantasy, like... And then we look at, like, the shit we're doing now, and it just gets so much more, like, nuanced and shit. I guess, to be fair, you were never, like, baby's first, like, Warhammer Fantasy. You've always had a pretty solid, like, understanding, at least when we started playing it. But Akshi and I... we're extreme noobs, and I still feel like I'm a noob at it. Especially if we, like, get into elven shit, but, like... It's very funny looking back and just seeing how little I knew. Like, I still, like, going back to Sasha's old notes. And just seeing how I spelt Noln as Gnome. Was just, like, endearing to me in a way. It's just like, wow, like, my knowledge has come so far. Also, for other viewers... Actually, I will hold that thought. But... I have a musing on what a guy is to me. But I will get back to you after I take a break. I need to drink water. I need to do another stretch. But yeah, I will be back in a couple minutes, and I promise not to take as long this time. Hello, hello. I am back. I technically didn't move from my chair. I just kind of just drank some water and stretched. So here we are. And okay. Adam said to based on last time, before the break, we were talking about my player character Stassi and what she was going to go through, but we never made it because of stuff. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Adam. Making sure that my stretches and water weren't for free. But basically, to end the point he was making about Stassi, was, and Stassi's whole universal jumping problem was Be'lakor using her as his pawn against Tzeentch because Tzeentch was using her as an avatar of change. That is really interesting. Did you, a nexus point, if you will, do you have a reason why Tzeentch chose her in that way? Because that part really fascinates me. And while you get that typed out, I'm going to muse about, like, what I've been thinking about the definition of a guy. And for you viewers who have no fucking clue what the hell I'm talking about here, a guy, whenever I play a campaign, I get really into it when I find a guy. Imagine the little TM by it whenever I say the guy. And in that, like, I become obsessed with this guy. This guy is the person I want to keep going back to and asking a bunch of shit about and finding out more. A meta reason, and it was just in the aboriginal. Either I'm too dumb and that's a word I don't know, or that's a typo. Switch from Gur to Olgu. But if it is a real word, original, okay. Okay. Thank you. I was losing my mind here. But the guy is essentially like, there is an NPC. And it can't be planned. It is, in my opinion, completely random, but for some reason, actually has found a formula that ends up working. And even then, like, I don't choose who they intend to be their guys half the time. To the point where last campaign, I had to not go for my guy because they set it up in a way where, like, I felt obligated to go for the storyline they were playing. But anyway, a guy. I usually have my characters fall for these guys because I like the guy. So, of course, I want to keep interacting with the guy. And the best way to keep interacting with the guy is to end up with them. Okay. So, I've been musing because Adam here also GMs for me occasionally. And has been trying to figure out what the fuck a guy is and how to do it. Because he, unfortunately, it doesn't come as easy to him as it does Akshi. And I was thinking about it. And it's one of those things where, like, my character has to have chemistry with them. I have to be able to have the freedom to, like, come up with, like, you can any all you don't care. Okay, that's good to know. That is also news to me. But essentially, yeah, a guy is, like, someone I can interact with, like, I can have some blockers in the way, but if I feel like they're going to be impossible to get to every single time I try to talk to them, they're disqualified as a guy because I can't go out and see them. I can't interact with them. They can't be the guy that I obsess over because, like, I'm 6,000 miles away, or they're locked behind bars in the endgame dungeon or some shit like that. Just examples off the top of my head, or, like, that never actually happened, but, like, just are easy to make it relatable, I guess. So, like, they have to be accessible. They have to be something I can, because I'm cringe. I write little fanfics about my own player characters and campaigns because I get, like, really into my characters and stuff. If I can include them seamlessly into a campaign, or, like, not campaign, a little fan fiction, even if it's like a little like 10-minute vignette off to the side, that's also bonus points to them. They also have to be like really cute or really funny or both or sweet. I am sorry, viewers who are not Adam or Akshi right now, because I can't really explain this in like a concise way to catch you all up. But Adam, I think the most ideal example of a guy, and this is also one that like accidentally became a guy, is Gunthal. Gunthal is the ideal guy. He is the perfect guy trademark that I have ever run into. And definitely the guy that got away. So I think, breaking it down, now this doesn't guarantee you follow this formula that I will go for the guy that you create, because that's rarely how it works, but I think that those are the commonalities that I could think of when I was musing over this last night while I was going to sleep, or trying to sleep. 1,000,000% he's who I've been wondering about. I can't understand. Okay, he's so boring. I love Gunthal. And you know what caught my attention first? The voice Akshi gave him. And then my brain filled in the gaps. So I guess you have to have a really, really nice attention grabber that immediately makes me think that they're cute. I think that's it. I think that's it. Because, like, the GM can make the character boring, but my brain will fill in the gaps. My brain will fill in the gaps to make them the most interesting character for myself, and I will project interesting story onto them because they had been deemed the guy. Like, you kind of experienced that with Carl Taylor in Your Enemy Within campaign. Like, as you said, like, there's nothing wrong with Carl, although, like, you could probably consider him a little boring and basic, too. He got in the way for your plans of what you had for Sasha, like, down the line. He made sense, though. Fair enough. He was charming. And I found Gunthal really sweet. Here's the thing. The thing with Gunthal, and maybe you are right, but I have projected so much shit into Gunthal that I cannot see his boringness. I see all his virtues. I have rose-tinted glasses for this character. I had no fucking clue what I was doing with Rose. Oh, yeah. I see. Yes, I was playing a character named Rose, and I was wearing rose-tinted glasses for my guy. I had no fucking clue where I was taking Rose. All I know is that Akshi asked me to play her for this campaign. And I was just sitting there, and I was like, I have no fucking clue what to do interesting with her. Well, Quinn gave me quite the story with her to the point where I was bawling, but that's beside the point. That is unrelated to Gunthal. So I think me not knowing where Rose was going and just immediately seeing a little cutie patootie like part of the party, of course I was immediately gonna go, yep, that's the one. He is my favorite. He is my boy. Give him a kiss on the forehead. And then Quinn made him a sad boy, and I'm like a sucker for those, and then and then he became a guy. I have not gotten any drawing done. I've just been yapping about guys for like fucking 40 minutes or some shit like that. I swear this is supposed to be a drawing stream. But no, I don't think I can make it more, like, specific than that. But I think that's the formula. Is Fernil's problem that he's not sad because he is? No, I don't think there's necessarily wrong for Fernil. I just don't think there was, like, the, oh man, look at that cutie patootie, or oh man, look at that cool cool guy moment. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Ferenfernil. He is a fun character. He's a great bud. He's great. He is on the level of Fabrizio, if that makes sense. He showed up with a lion on a chariot. How do you get cooler? It's not necessarily a cool factor, though. I guess I did say, like, cool or cute, but, like, it's gotta strike me in a way where I'm like, I want to be that guy's friend. And I think part of the issue with Ferenfernil, in that regard, is that it seems like Elethandri and Ferenfernil are as close as they can get. Also, a lion on chariot, while that is cool, that is not like, aw, fuck, yeah, rad, like, levels to me to where I'm, like, just immediately obsessed with with person. You know, because, like, it's gotta be cool in a way that makes me go, I immediately need to know that person. And, like, everything about them. You've been dropping hints that Elle's been away for so long that they've drifted apart and get closer again. I guess that's fair. It's why he keeps getting revelations about his behavior. That is fair. And like I said, I like the relationship I have with Ferenfernil. He is a great character. He's fun to have around. But, like, he is on bestie level where I want to help him in that regard rather than guy level. Which are, like, they're two different things. They are not, one isn't better than the other. They're just different. You know. You just wanted him at guy level. That was your aim. Yeah, unfortunately that's not how the guy lottery works. It, like Actually has told you many times, it is completely fucking random, and there is no, like, there are some guidelines, like I was saying, but there is no fucking rhyme or reason what my brain attaches to. Okay, but Gunthal, they were just like, watch this. No, that is not true, because, like, as soon as Actually realized, and it was pretty quickly, that Gunthal became my guy in, like, session 2, they're like, what the fuck are you on about? I have nothing for this guy. This guy has no lore. I had no plans for him. He was just an NPC filling a gap. Like, they did not do Gunthal on purpose. They have no idea why I latched onto him. I just happened to. So if they gave the impression that they did that on purpose, they fucking lied to your face. I mean, they make it look effortless. I just think it's I think it's one of those things, you know, where because they have so little planned for these characters, and I'm able to project so much onto these characters myself, that they become the quality in my head, because I'm projecting these things onto them. See how I make my own characters? That's why that keeps happening. Whereas you have a lot more depth and plans for the characters you create. You have them, like, interesting in their own ways and stuff like that. And full-on plans for them and where they're going and stuff. Which is fantastic. That is arguably way better writing. Like, but because I don't have that, like, ability to project onto these characters and stuff, it's a lot harder for me to reach guy level because I have less of a say on how that goes, you know? Like, hi Louie, what's Wah? Well, I know Wah is a green skin thing, but yeah, no, like with the guy thing, I think that's what it comes down to. Like, why it actually seems to have more success. It's my ability to project onto those characters that I happen to latch onto. And I'm not saying it's impossible to happen to a character that I'm not projecting onto. Or excuse me, that I can't project onto. I think it's fully within the realm of possibility. I just think that that's essentially where the effortless comes from. It's not effortless, it's just that I have an empty vessel to throw my ideas at. Because I like the characters I make a lot, because I am pretty full of myself, I guess. Hi Louie, we are talking about roleplay campaigns and the players I play and the NPCs I end up really loving. Because Adam is a GM or a person who GMs for me. And he's wondering at why actually when they GM for me, I can get a guy. You just end up killing everyone? So you're like a murder hobo. And no one's been like that in all of Ulthuan? Well, let's see. Like I said, no one's really stood out to me other than Ferenfernil. Like, is there a character that would have had opportunity for that? Because I unfortunately can't think of one off the top of my head. Thank you for redeeming first, Louis. How about the courtesan? You were defo first. Yeah, for sure. I mean, they were nice. They were fun to talk to and stuff, but, like, they didn't capture my interest in a way where you were vibing together. Yes, we were vibing together, and, like, I would say, like, that is, like, acquaintance level sort of deal. It's not, like, nothing stood out about them in a way where I'm like, holy shit, I love this person. Like, holy shit, I want to find out everything about this person. And like I said, it is completely random. You forgot the name of the last guy? Are you talking from the stop stealing... Oh, yeah. Yeah, you are. He seemed to have hated my guts. And, like, why that doesn't... No, not Romeo and Juliet. Just campaign stuff for Warhammer Fantasy campaign we're playing. There's a guy who faked his death because he basically, if he were to live, he'd bring, like, shame upon his family and everything like that. He was exiled and stuff, so, like, it's better for him to pretend to be dead and visit, like, in secret than to be alive, essentially, is what's going on. But no, that guy essentially felt like I was setting up a guy for a friend for now. He's just a dude. And a good source of information. I suppose that's true. I don't know. I guess it just didn't happen. It's just gotta strike me right, you know? Like, I guess another thing is like chemistry. Like, I have to be able to imagine like a level of chemistry that scratches my brain right, I guess. Holy cow, how is it already 8:30? You mean fair enough? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, I don't know. Like I said, I gave general guidelines, but it's really it's just essentially just like a luck thing. You're not trying to push these guys, you're just confused. I mean, I think I'm just as confused as you, because I genuinely don't know how it happens. But I think if it helps, with Elethandri, there is a type of person that I have been kind of hoping they meet, or that he meets, that I haven't really seen, and if there is a character like that, forgive me, and I just completely, like, went over my head. And in that, and for those of you who aren't aware of my character, Elethandri, he doesn't fit in very well with the other elves, essentially. He wants to give, including dwarves, which is a really big deal in fantasy, is, that he is willing to get along with dwarves, humans, and stuff for, like, the betterment of, like, the world in general. So, the elves typically don't have that opinion, but basically the character that I have not seen there is, I guess, someone who maybe not necessarily makes him feel like he fits in, but doesn't feel like such a pariah that he's got a chance of not being just like a big fucking loser in everyone's eyes. But, like, also doesn't do it in a way where it's just like, you know what, screw everyone else. Because, like, he does have a deep down desire to get along with others. Are elves Eldari in fantasy? Yeah, it's essentially the equivalent of Eldari. I mean, everyone's mostly treated him with respect. Yeah, and I know you've said that, but, like, that also... It's kind of like one of those, like, anxiety, mental health things, you know? Like, everything could be going right or fine or whatever, but, like, if he's in his own head about it, where his brain's telling him that's not the case, then, like, he's not going to read into the situation that way, you know? And you're just playing Helldivers, Louis? Well, I hope you had fun with that. But yeah, but that's the only thing I'm using. And even then, like, you're not obligated to make a character like that. I want you to write the story that you want to write. Like, a guy will likely happen. But right now, I just need to figure out how to connect with an elf well enough. Because I just... Part of the reason that I have Elathandri's character feeling such a disconnect from being an elf is because I wanted to channel my disconnect from Warhammer elves in general. I think it's because I've been trying to establish that he's not actually that different from most of the elves. Yeah, and I can see that that's what you're trying, but I just have not seen an opportune push as a player to have Elathandri see it that way, you know? So, like, I've seen some other streamers propose the idea of planning their campaign sessions upcoming on stream. And I really, really wonder how the format of that works. Because depending on how that works, that might be something I look into. Like, nothing spoiler worthy because, like, my players are very supportive of me and watch me stream. But, like, insofar as, like, me doing research. Because, like, if I could do two birds with one stone and just, like, yap with people, so, like, planning a session feels, like, way less lonely. I think that would be a good positive, but I think it would entirely depend on what, like, actually goes into a stream like that, because I've never seen a stream like that. I've only seen streamers I follow talk about it. Or if it, like, it would even be, like, entertaining. But I guess it's just, like, a just chatting session with a specific goal in mind. Yeah, you've seen it once with Sotek a long while ago. Do you remember anything about that stream with Sotek or how it went? Or, like, you just only remember that he did it? It wasn't a hit, but none of his Wolfrip ones were. Fair enough. You were there, though. Sotek seems like a very nice and genuine guy, and like a lot of members of his community are really cool. But I have noticed just like going into his chats and stuff that like the things that his viewership likes is very odd, all things considered. Like, I don't mean that in a bad way or something. It's just like, whenever I've dropped in there, they like and talk about entirely different things than I expected based on, like, the YouTube videos, the non-stream YouTube videos I've seen of, like, Sotek. Like, I don't know, like, especially when you said that, like, Wolfrip was not popular at all with his audience. It's just like, I don't know, a tabletop RPG is like a really, in my opinion, a really good way to get like a lot of like minute lore that a lot of his fan base has questions about. So it just feels odd that that was like not a popular thing for them. Or like how you and actually were telling about like the other day he was playing Final Fantasy 14 and like his audience members were like, yeah, that's it's a huge investment though. But I mean like just are you talking about his live plays or are we talking about like his planning session thing? Did he do live plays? I know he said that he was doing like running a campaign, but like were they live plays or just something he was doing off screen? It was live. Okay, yeah, that is a huge investment then. He had 2 live plays? That's insane. But no, I wasn't talking about live plays. I was talking about The Enemy Within ran by him. But I was talking about like purely your planning during your stream. And then Lustria. Okay, I recall him both didn't really end. That stinks. No, I recall him talking about Lustria. And yeah, no, live plays are super hardcore investments, which is why, like, while to me it sounds fun in theory, I would never personally do one unless it was like a sub 20 session campaign. And 20 is pushing it. It would ideally be around 10 sessions. His planning one was basically part 0. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. The streamers that I'm thinking of were like talking about like not doing a plain 0, but just like planning individual sessions in general. So that's the ones that I was like really curious about. But no, yeah. But to answer your question about why I thought it was weird about Sotek's, like, community and what they want, and it's just, like, he plays a lot of Final Fantasy 14, and then and maybe this was, like, just, like, some random one guy in chat or something, but just, like, hearing you guys tell me about how he had, like, audience member- Go away, Siri. How he had audience members being like, nah, we don't really like the Final Fantasy 14. It's like, he plays so much of it. What do you mean? What do you mean? Why are you here? You think you'd kick ass at a live play? You're so organized. Well, thank you. If I were to do a live play, I should probably, like, finish a couple of campaigns, like, off-screen. No, yeah, it was deadass one guy who came in and was like, this is ass. Like, what a dick. What a dick. Go watch something else, then. There are people, like, constantly streaming shit. And he was like, that's funny, but I'm still playing. Okay, well, okay. I guess I should say you did not relay this to me, actually relayed this to me, meaning that they played the game of telephone where they told me everything wrong. I should not be talking about them like this without them to defend themselves, but, like, in this case, it's objectively right. I'm not bringing up their squats redeem at least. I'm not going to do that without them defending themselves. But no, I think it would be really, really fun to do a short little live play on stream where I would do the running and stuff, and like it wouldn't get into like, no, according to Sotek, he brings in way more Twitch viewers through Final Fantasy XIV. I could see that because Final Fantasy XIV is fucking popular on Twitch, like, holy cow. But like, I'm surprised it's not YouTube that does that. Meanwhile, it's dead on YouTube, and it's usually the inverse for him. That is very true. And maybe this isn't how viewership is, but like in terms of like what I've seen when I was researching, like setting up my own stream and stuff, like femmes usually flock, and maybe this is just like me like getting my tutorial videos up. Like, femmes usually flocked to YouTube, where I was like, more masks like flocked to Twitch. Like, it just felt like when I was looking up tutorials for different aspects, if they were doing a tutorial and were primarily a YouTube streamer, they were a girl. If they were doing a tutorial and doing a Twitch stream and they were a Twitch streamer, they were a guy. And that is probably just like complete coincidence, but like, given that aspect and stuff like that, Final Fantasy XIV, a huge part of their demographic is women, and that has to do with their moderation system. Because, like, for whatever reason, and I'm not going to speculate here, if you're a crappy person, you get removed pretty quickly in Final Fantasy XIV, so I guess, like, women feel more safe, like, coming to Final Fantasy XIV. So, like, it's crazy to me, that the viewership isn't high for Final Fantasy XIV on YouTube streaming, so. Probably because dudes on Twitch are crazy neat incels, allegedly. I mean, yeah, I do remember that being the consensus, like, 10-ish years ago, over 10 years ago, holy shit. But I guess I haven't experienced that, but because I have, like, reached the new level of cringe, in that, okay, not cringe, because I don't think it's actually cringe, but, like, I know the general public does, and that is, God damn it. I got into Twitch because of VTubers, not because, like, they're VTubers or anything, or because I like idol culture, because I don't, but, like, the streamers that happened to catch my attention were all, like, VTubers and shit. Or PNG tubers and stuff, like. And, like, the community that I've kind of just stumbled into doesn't really... It would just be laughable if you tried to label them that way. But yeah, no, I now remember that being how people perceived Twitch streamers. Which is crazy, because, like, it seems like Jerma is, like, the Twitch streamer that people turn to, and, like, as an example of, like, a Twitch streamer, even if he's, like, kind of semi-retired. And that guy has, like, so many fucking fangirls. So many fangirls. I have probably said the forbidden noise way more than 9 times this stream. I've just been very terrible about keeping track of it myself. I've just been yapping too much, and I like, to keep up with it. But I will still take it as I am improving. What is the difference between Twig and Twig Original? Oh, okay, I see. His fangirls weren't when they started watching him 10 years ago, then they played New Vegas and discovered things about themselves. True, true. My goodness, time has been flying tonight. And I feel like I've accomplished nothing, but I guess that's just because I've, like, been very chatty tonight. Good stream. Thank you! I was actually nervous about going into this stream. God damn it. Partially because I didn't have anything prepared to say. I had... I had been trying to, like, set up in a way. You're charming enough to make it up as you go along. Aw, thank you. I try really hard. I've been trying to practice at getting better at, like, filling the space and talking, because, like, I should be able to, if I'm going to be an entertaining streamer, be able to just be entertaining without relying on chat, you know? Not that I, like, dislike talking to my chat. I do like talking to my chat. It's just... I have to be reason enough for y'all to show up in the first place. Otherwise, like, you could just go to another, like, person with, like, better charisma and stuff. So, like, yeah, no, I'm glad that I have been doing a better job, or at least I think so, of, like, talking and being a little more entertaining and stuff like that. I know this stream in particular, I've been talking about, like, shit like most people has no context for, and if you are here, thank you for putting up with that, and thank you for listening, and hopefully, like that was at least a little interesting to someone who doesn't have context for, like, what I was talking about. But I was personally having fun yapping about it. But no, it's one of those things where, like, if I keep practicing at it, I won't need to prepare topics ahead of time. I could just go in and start talking. I know whenever I get little glimpses into Sotek's game that he's playing, I'm super interested. That's fair. I also agree with that. Whenever and I've only heard him talk about his Lestria campaign. I'm just like, wow, that sounds rad as hell. Like, I want to experience that. Like, I want to hear more. Like, if I would have known he was doing a live play of it, I probably would have just, like, maybe not necessarily caught on stream, but I would, like, hopped in and, like, watched a couple episodes to see where that went. He doesn't do live plays anymore, and it makes me sad. Yeah, I mean, that is really sad, but I guess if, like, they were extremely not popular and just more effort than, like, the audience and whatever, however he measures a successful stream, if it was just, like, leading to less success for more work, then I can get why he doesn't do it. But I still like hearing whenever I can when he mentions, like, oh, my witch hunter did X. Yes, I also like hearing that. I love hearing about people's campaigns and stuff. I just, I don't know. I don't want to presume people find my shit interesting, especially since, like, I'll just, like, go from one to the other because, like, even if I stick with my characters a lot longer than you, Adam, like, I still feel like I have a shitload of characters that I just keep bouncing between. Apparently he had to pay the GM and it was a nightmare arranging people to all show up on time. Oof, yeah. I think I would stop that too, like... I get with, like, live plays and stuff like that, that's a whole different thing, but, like... If I were to do it, and not saying that I wouldn't necessarily do it, but if I were to do it, I would be the GM, first and foremost. And my players, while I would want them to be joining because they wanted to play, not because, like, it's for a payout, I would be very, like, upfront about, well, I guess I'm not even affiliate yet, so it's not like I make money on this thing, but, like, I'd be very upfront about, like, hey, like, I'm running this thing, if you want to join and, like, stuff, we can see if our schedules line up and we can do this. But I would also, like, see what it would take to, like, let them also have the assets or, like, somehow, like, stream it on their channel so they can at least, like, make the money or whatever. Or whatever. I don't know. That is something for the way future. Because I think if I were to do it, I think I would do, like, full party. Well, you don't think the players were expecting anything. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. But yeah, no, first and foremost, like, the biggest difference based on what you're telling me about Sotek's live play is I would be the GM in this situation. Like, if I were running it, I am such a control freak, I would be the GM. That being said, if I'm the GM, I would need a much more powerful rig than I have right now. His GM was pretty good from what you could tell, at least. Yeah, I'm sure. And especially if you were getting paid and stuff for that, I would hope he was good at it. He had an accent you couldn't place. Okay, okay. So wait, Sotek was planning the sessions, but someone else was GMing? Or was, like, the GM, like, separately doing, like, planning? Because I'm very intrigued by this. So Tech was streaming and presumably making sure everyone was there and on time, and he had someone GMing. Okay. Makes sense, makes sense. You don't remember if Hawk was in that one. Okay. Or the enemy within, or both. Okay. Yeah. No, but like... logistically, it does sound like a nightmare, especially if the other people that you have... It's been a few years. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like, logistically, it makes sense that live plays are a huge pain in the ass, especially if, like, everyone else is also streaming, because, like, once you get to a certain point in streaming, especially, like, it seems like when I see, like, these streamers have a network of people that they hang out with and they're regular with, and I'm like, that's great, that's fantastic, that's awesome, I hope to some way they'd be there. That they are very extremely busy, whether it's because they also have a day job or they, like, stream, like, at specific times that, like, conflicts with, like, other potential people that would want to be in it, like, that's the big thing here. And that's why if I were to ever do a live play, I would try to keep it around 10 sessions. 10 sessions with, like, a max of 20. Well, like, it's hard enough getting people around a board once a week. Yes. Add in also you're on camera the entire time. Yes, exactly. It's gotta be a problem. No, yeah, I mean, look at Lawhammer. They were told ahead of time, like, this is the whole express purpose of Lawhammer, the show, and, like, even for them, it's, like, a really huge deal to keep it on time. And that's why, like, if I were to do live plays, like I've said, like, 3 times already, but, I mean, whatever. It's my stream, I can repeat myself however many times I want. Is that I would do short session. They would have a storyline to follow. Like, I would try my best, and maybe I would just stick with duos, or maybe like a trio or something like that for something like that. Just so every character has time to shine, because like 10 sessions seems like really short for like 6 players, each having time to properly shine. Just so, like, the audience can easily stay invested. They can easily, like, catch up on the VODs and stuff like that. Because 10 is a lot more manageable to watch, especially if it's ongoing. So, like, 5, like, if you get in the middle of it, is a lot easier to catch up on. Whereas, what, Lawhammer is up to over 100 at this point. 4-hour episodes each. Like, that's an insane time investment. If you weren't there from the beginning, like, that is dedication to get caught up. And that is, like, months-long dedication. And I think that's a problem with doing, like, such a long-term campaign for a live play, is that there's no easy way to do a recap to get someone, like, caught up. Most other live plays I've seen have been around 10 episodes, yeah, some 5. Yeah, and I think that's the ideal. If you want to keep your audience captivated, I think it's easier. And I admire Andy for doing, like, a full-on campaign. But I think it's easier if you want to do live. And I'm talking about out of my ass here. I know nothing about this. I know nothing about the success. If you want to gain an audience about this, the ideal way to do it is to do a bunch of short campaigns that have nothing to do with each other. So, like, if, like, a viewer just hops in, they can easily catch up on the campaign you're currently on, and if they really dug your shit, then they have, like, other really short campaigns that they can watch on their own time, too. Like, they have the content there, but they don't feel like they've missed out on a lot of shit, because each time everything else has been, like, bite-sized in comparison to, like, something like The Enemy Within. And what, like, something like, I know Lawhammer's super long. Critical Role is, like, super long, too, isn't it? Like, I think it's only the big boys that go for longer. Yeah, yeah, like Critical Role and stuff. MBM, BAM, Critical Role, etc. I don't know how to say that first acronym. I don't know what that is, but like, yeah, I think you have to kind of just have the production value and the fan base to do that longer stuff. Like, otherwise you're just going to, as you keep going, you're going to have more and more and more difficulty figuring out how to get new audience members to stick around. My brother, and me. Ma bim bam. Yeah, that rolls off the tongue so fun. Ma bim bam. No, I've never heard of that one before. So with that one, do they just like do duos too, or is it like they have a full party and just like the main three personalities that are always on the show? The brother, and the presumably person. This is a whole new world for me, so I'm just going to have you educate me on this. Oh shit, actually, like, while you type that out, I'm gonna take a break. Because it is the top of the hour, and I have been really bad about taking a break. They play with them and their dad and some others. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, I will be right back.
is at peace.
Stays online like I stays on the grind. Rain or shine, forever it's Famicom. Top dog, Mega Ran Sakamoto. Pop off when the fans snap a photo. Put him on the flyer, spit it through the wire. The muck and the Maya, spit it to inspire. Never will retire, keep the fans waiting. Do it till I'm in suspended animation. Live from SR the 88. Praying Rand don't get dropped like baby weight. I leave him shocked like 808s. And heartbreak probably never should've gave me space. Now I take off, coming with a great force. Ran Brenda Moore, winning all face loss. And I give them all, make them all break north. Crack a smile on a gain or a great loss. Cause no matter what, I count it all joy. I recall sitting on the floor playing with my toys. Not a care in the world, I was just a little boy. Meanwhile, mama stressing out cause she was unemployed. We maintained in the darkest world. Me and Justin Bailey in the Northest sword. Brimstar, Norfair, trapped up in warfare. Hit lands, only care what heart explored. Life hit hard like a death in the family. Spit balls, bring the death, understand me. Mini balls like a Ridley Creed. So I give my all when I hit the stage. Engage, hope it get me saved. And while I'm here, I hope it gets me paid. So I gotta flood a main, sorta like a hurricane. I was getting bored with rap and found another lane. We all struggling, but I'ma keep the cannon cocked until I reach that mother brain. High jump boots, various suits, crew attack, doing backhands in the booth. Truth, Mentorian, play 'em like accordions. Detonated for the then, mom still brought it in. NES raps, wish I would've thought of them. Energy tanks is full, man, we sure to win. If I never sell a million records, or I never would've been respected, I still put my life on a rhyme skill. Barefoot walking through the minefield. Long as it's semi, I'ma spit like a semi-automatic till it's empty, and I swore never to forget what I rhyme for. Leave it on the floor. If I never sell a million records, or I never would've been respected, I still put my life on a rhyme skill. Barefoot walking through the minefield. Long as it's semi, I'ma spit like a semi-automatic till it's empty, and I swore never to forget what I rhyme for. Leave it on the floor. Yeah.
All right, I am back. I can't believe it's already after 9, y'all. I can't believe that I've been going for 3-ish hours. Like, that's crazy. That does not feel like I've been going at it for this long. Especially since I haven't gotten that much done this stream, but I've just been having fun yapping. And thank you for the hydrate and stretch, Adam. I will do that. It's fine. It's not your job to be on top of reminding me for breaks like Actually does. If anything, I should probably like look into what I can do for StreamerBot. And then have them remind me like once an hour to tell me to go on break. It's just like when I like get a little behind, I just don't want it to stagger to be where it reminds me like 20 minutes before it's time, and then like the timer suddenly becomes useless. It just becomes kind of just like extra fodder in the chat. So I'm discovering very quickly with these streams where I'm getting more and more successful at being able to talk for long periods of time without like going silent for a while, is that I'm going to need to start drinking tea with honey again, because my voice is starting to get a little bit scratchy just because I've been yapping so much. Which is kind of a good problem to have, because like that whole thing I will get used to as I talk more. That just comes with the territory. I'm just not used to talking for 4 hours at a time, or projecting my voice, or being a performer. At least not anymore. I used to do public speaking in a competitive context when I was in high school, but that was... Let's just say that I was not even close to being an obsolete physics bot yet at that point in my life. Like, that's how long ago it's been. I think that's why my counter is becoming just, like, a little bit more boring. Because while I know I've said it more than 11 times, I just haven't caught myself more than 11 times. And for those of you that are lurking or whatever, you can also do the command. I'm just in good faith capturing it myself, too. Is that since, like, I'm slipping back into the old habits that I made when I was a competitive public speaker, I'm quickly slipping back into my habits of being comfortable with silence hanging while I think of my words. So maybe this is like a counter that I will eventually make less prominent. Which is a good thing, but it took me for fucking ever to get this goddamn counter to work. I just wanted to add, like, extra little things for chat to be engaged. Very good problems to have. Yeah, exactly. It just... It shows that my speaking skills aren't completely lost like I thought they were. I know we're, like, way off on that, but, like, unless someone I have in mind is still streaming or has started streaming, like, by the time I'm ending it at, like, 10-ish Eastern, I might have to have you suggest raids for me so I can know how to do that, since I can't go on to Google myself. Because it will just crash my stream. Hopefully, actually said that they were going to work on my PC tomorrow. Hopefully, by Monday, we'll have figured out what's wrong. It's a free fix, and we can just get it done. Like... And then, like, I'll be able to not worry about having enough shit closed to run my very, like, what should not be an intensive, like, system run well. That was certainly a set of words, but it got my point across, so is it really that wrong to say? Is it really that wrong to say if it was incomplete and incoherent if it got my point across? God, you hope. Yeah, I do too. I do too. Because I'd like to play Darktide with you and Akshi, and I'd like to play fucking something as simple as goddamn Islanders on stream. My god, I was so upset with my laptop yesterday when I realized that fucking Islanders was not going to run. The good news is I tested it out. I think I'm playing the Nightmare Before Christmas game tomorrow. And it seems to run okay while OBS is open. Now, obviously, I didn't test it by, like, streaming and something, but it does seem to look like it runs just fine with OBS, and I'm going to play the shit out of that DMC game. I am so excited. You want to watch that too? Yeah, I am super, super excited for that. If I'm kind of planning on 2 Eastern to play that, but if I sleep in too much, I might just do my like typical 6 p.m. We'll see. I will... Anyway, I was raging at some bullshit in Loop Hero. What were you saying about rating? Oh, I was saying since, you know, my computer blows up if I open up fucking DuckDuckGo and I don't have Chrome installed, that I might have... If, like, my phone doesn't notify me properly of people who have started streaming that I'm familiar with, I might have you suggest who to raid into at the end of this hour. Sotek? Yeah, I suppose, yeah, Sotek's a good choice. There's a triple raid, or I guess duo, since one person doesn't seem to be a streamer. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, Kat, can you please not, get in my situation? I do think you should try Loop Hero. Okay, it just... Based on what I was seeing, It was essentially the exact same thing as Gilded Dungeoneering, which I guess is okay. It is absolutely a deck builder. Except for, like, it has less gameplay than Gilded Dungeoneering, because it's an auto-battler. And, like, I don't know, I guess I just don't feel like I would have been active or, like, actually playing the game if it's going to be an auto-battler. Like, honestly, the fact that it's an auto-battler turns me off more than it being a deck builder. Oh, you meant on my own time. I mean, yeah, I mean, that still applies, though, like... I don't really see the appeal of auto-battlers. Admittedly, I've never tried them, but that's just because, like, the concept of them just don't seem fun. But yeah, I think one of the things I want to play, like, if I'm just, like, not feeling it or just, like, want to relax and yap for a game, is I want to play Islanders. I played it for 2 hours this morning. Well, it's so bite-sized, you can tell right away it's more or less what you feel like about it. Okay, so Islanders is like... if City Skylines, and this is like a terrible way to put it, if City Skylines was like a puzzle in that if you fit pieces together, you get more points. And essentially, you're just doing that the entire time, and it is very, very chill. Have you ever heard of the game, or heard or played of the game Dwarf Romantic? Yes, it is similar to that. And, like, the New Shores sequel to Islanders, it has, like, added so many quality of life things that I don't think I can go back to the first one. Wow, that crashed your shit. It didn't crash it, but it was chugging. It was chugging. Like, I don't think if I would have set down a singular building, I think it would have, like, completely destroyed everything on my laptop. And I was very, very frustrated with my laptop last night when I saw that, because that game should not be that demanding. Like, my laptop should have been able to handle that just fine. My laptop is a fucking i7. Like, what the hell is going on? Actually, and I theorize. Because, like, it is Steam Deck verified. It runs perfectly on Steam Deck. I was playing it for 2 hours today. I think I think it's Windows' fault. I think it is. I think if I switch my laptop over to Linux, which I'm very scared to do because I don't want to break shit. If I were to switch over to Linux, I think my laptop would be able to run shit just fine again. And then it's just a matter of, like, what games are and aren't compatible with the Linux operating system. But no, I am starting to think, just because, like, yeah, I know my laptop doesn't have a graphics card, but with an i7, it should have been able to very easily run Islanders. Admittedly, like, when I was thinking about when I was, like, super manic and it was like, I want to play a game last night, I probably could have played... I'd be willing to bet it's the lack of GPU. I guess that's fair. I guess that's fair. I guess nowadays that matters more than it used to 10 years ago, because I pulled up, like, Don't Starve to test, and, you know, like, my ISOs that I have to test, and, like, those weren't struggling at all. But I guess, like, over the years, even with, like, well-optimized indie games, the GPU has gotten way, way more important. Not that it was unimportant, but it was, like, something you could sacrifice for, like, a shit rig, like... Okay, not a shit rig, because my laptop, I don't think it's very shitty. It's just not made for gaming, is the thing. You see that new game, Cairn? I think I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it. Let me take a look real fast. Oh, okay, yep, I know what you're talking about now. Those are getting very popular lately. Yeah, I have seen, like, just climbing games in general have been super, super popular. You're considering trying it? Any interest? I'd give it a shot, but I don't know if you're trying to use my interest in as, like, whether or not to bite the bullet. Like, I would say don't take me into consideration just in case, because even if I am interested in a game, it probably takes me, like, an average of at least, like, and if I'm being fast about it, 6 months to play a game that I get, so... Believe me, you know. Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess that's true. There was this one game I saw earlier that's apparently, like, saw someone else stream earlier that's apparently, like, getting super popular. I don't remember the fucking name of the game, though, and it's driving me nuts. You are playing as, like, apparently hyena-looking creatures that are, like, doing deliveries, and it's a free game. And it looked interesting, because, like, from the video, and I only watched, like, the video and then just, like, fucked off because I had other shit to do. But it looked kind of like it had the vibe of Lethal Company. Furries. Yeah, I mean, that's probably who they're marketing to. But now that I'm thinking about it, when I, like, get a PC, I can actually, like, fucking play Lethal Company. Which I have actually been wanting to. You need more info to find this game. I think, and I could be... It's got, like, delivered in the title of it. I was looking at it earlier. I think I put it on my wish list, or I added it to the library because it's free. Oh man, Lethal Company was so fun. Yes, and since it was an early access, I assume in, like, the year and a half since I played it, they have added a lot more stuff. And lately, I've been kind of having that itch to play, but, like, as you see, like, it was serviceable on Steam Deck, but I couldn't enter any of the fucking console commands that was required of it, so... Getting it on PC, or, like, playing on PC, it sounds like it would be a blast. I actually have genuinely been, like, legit craving to play that game. I just haven't had a good way to play it. Last patch was October. I mean, that's still more recent than the last time I played it. That's only been, 4 months. You'd love to play with me? Yeah, that sounds like a blast if you wouldn't mind. Yeah, for sure. We can drag Akshi into it too. And then I can watch you two get murdered by bees again. We overcommitted so hard, no regrets. That's true, that's true. It was so damn fun. No, I've been thinking about, like, asking to play Deep Rock Galactic with you guys again, too, sometime, too. Oh, it's why you're playing again. Well, I was wondering if that's why you were playing again, but I didn't want to presume actually told you, because I forgot to tell you myself. And it's just like, I didn't realize that I didn't tell you until I was like sitting here starting to stream. Oh, it's the new season. It's why. Oh, sorry, I missed that. I was looking ahead. No, the new season. This is the first I've heard of you wanting to play. Yeah, surprise! I want to play again. I was unaware that there was a new season. I just happened having the itch to play it again. You'd love to, legit, and you were not glazing. You're so much better than actually at Vermintide. See, I don't feel like that's the case. And they were also playing Sienna. I don't think I could play her at all. Just like, she does not click with how I like think about a game like that. And pretty much on par in DRG. Sorry, I am not as much of a gamer as you. Could you, like, let me know what that stands for? And you had, like, 4 hours. Oh, Deep Rock Galactic. Oh my god. Can you tell my brain is mush right now? It's cute. Anyway, you've been trying to get your PC, or my PC fixed since December. Yeah, yeah. Why the renewed interest? Partially because I want to do some gaming stuff on stream, and my laptop is a lot weaker than I initially thought, because I was operating on the assumption of GPUs were something you can sacrifice, especially if you were playing what was perceived as like really low demanding games, but now these low demanding games do like require a graphics card to run well, otherwise you're going to run into issues. Like that's essentially it. Just like also like since my office desk is now not also like where I work, at least for now, I'm able to just like see this as a fun space again instead of like my own personal hell, which that also helps. True. Yes, true. Let's get that fixed. Yeah, yeah. I know it's on Akshi's itinerary for tomorrow. Yeah, I missed game with you too. I also kind of think it would be fun to finally play New Vegas on stream. And I kind of want to add some quality of life mods to it to see if like if I add the quality of life, like that will make me enjoy the game a little bit more. And I don't trust that to work very well on my Steam Deck. Not that I can figure out how to get the fucking capture card to work for my Steam Deck anyway. It'd just be easier to just do it on PC. But yeah, that's where I'm kind of at with that. Hyped. Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say I got a lot of cool plans. I'm very excited for them. Like, we'll see how it goes. All right, long shot. Hit me. Hit me with it. The niche game Insurmountable. I don't know what that game is. Let me look that up real fast. No one does. Yeah, I know nothing about it, and this is one of those things where I think I would have to like do a little bit more dedicated research into it. Unless you have like a bit more of an in-depth like knowledge. It looks like a climbing game, but like is it just basically a climbing game or is there something like more to it? Not that it needs to be. I'm just mountain climbing roguelike, but not like peak, more like resource management. Okay, that actually does sound really cool actually. I do like resource management in certain contexts, and that sounds like a context where I enjoy it. The climbing is more like flavor. Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, because I was gonna say, it looks like the climbing actually wasn't like the challenge there, so I was just wondering what the challenge was. But yeah, resource management, that makes sense. You need to get to the top of 3 peaks in a row without running out of air, freezing to death, or starving. You forget the third danger. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun, actually. I am super interested in that, but that definitely looks like a game I will need to wait for, like, a more high-powered rig before I did anything. Or alternatively, and actually brought this up, if I were to... Yes, but it's not that demanding. Yeah, but as we established, the bar is in hell for my little laptop. But alternatively, it actually has suggested if we can't get the PC figured out and other stuff, like, if I were to want to stream more demanding games, streaming via the PlayStation 5 would probably be the way to go. Didn't know you could do that. Well, yeah, I mean, the issue is I can't do Steam on that, so... And that's where, like, the majority of my games are. Bro, what's up? Princess Mononoke was so good. Yes, it was very good. I loved that movie, and I really loved Porco Rosso. But yeah, it had been a hot minute since I seen the movie, and yes, it is very good. It holds up. Yes, both. Yes. Such a peak night. Yes, I agree. Absolutely. I still need to watch Howl's Moving Castle. Because I heard that one was, like, extremely beloved. Alright, so... we're almost at 10 p.m. Eastern. So I guess, to put it all into context, I'm gonna add my people and lanterns back. And we were slowly but surely... let me zoom it in so you guys could see a little better. We were slowly but surely getting to, like, a more coherent, like, visually interesting illustration here. Like, I still need to make the... there's a reference to Howl's Moving Castle and Surviving Mars. Oh, that's really cool. But yeah, no, I will definitely get this finished over the weekend, most likely. I will not be streaming this next drawing stream come hell or high water. I will be starting a new piece of work. It's just, my sleep has been all over the place lately. But yeah, I am almost done adding, like, subtle textures to everything, just so, like, it's a little bit more visually interesting, even though from, like, a small distance, you're not gonna really see it, but, like, the subtlety makes a difference. It makes it look less flat. But yeah, that's what I got going on so far. This will be finished. I will show off whether or not I'm finished, what progress I've made, like the beginning of the next stream, like I did the last time I finished the character sheet and stuff. And then we'll move on to whatever the hell I feel like drawing then. I'm just gonna stop making promises on what the hell I'm gonna do next stream and just let it be a surprise. I'm not gonna be I don't have the omniscient knowledge that a narrator from a Saturday morning cartoon has for, like, the next week on Sparkly Anarchy. Drawing. Alright. Let's see. Yeah, let's get the last part of the count, just for good measure. Here are my socials if you're interested in following me on stuff. If you like my work, here's where, if I could spell it right. Here's where you can commission me. If you're curious about, like, any of the brushes I'm using that weren't, like, what you saw in default Procreate, here's my master list of that. It does not include the brushes that I've made custom myself, but, like, if you notice a brush that I've made custom myself that you really, really like, which I don't think I used any on stream tonight, just let me know and I will figure out a way to get the brush to you somehow. Or I will show you or give you the step-by-step on how I made it, because, like, none of the stuff that I made was super high effort. Now to see who the heck is streaming right now. Yeah, so tech's not Leo anymore. Okay, I mean, that's fine too. We don't have to raid into anyone, because, like, I don't know anyone off the top of my head that I can really... Mike and Germa's live? Yeah, because I'm sure they have... I'm sure they have access to, or, like, have raids turned on or whatever. I have never seen a VOD where they have any raiders, and then 2K or 10K viewers, your pick. I don't think either of them have that shit turned on. It is fine. Like, I think I'm just gonna call it good here. Be the change you want to see in the world. Fair. Okay. I will give it a shot, because my deep fear is that it'll work. And I'm not gonna go into, because, like, I know for a fact that Mike would have, like, no problem, like, roasting me, because he just like, I've never seen one of his streams, but, like, I could see him having no issue, like, roasting someone for raiding into his stream with, like, 2 viewers. Joro's a nice guy, but I would be shocked if he had his shit on. But if I ever end a stream with, like, at least 20 viewers, I will test it out. I will test it out. But before then, I'm not gonna do it with, like, such a small, like, watch count. Like, that, like, not that there's anything wrong with, like, where I'm at. I love you all who are still watching and here and watching me ramble and talk about random bullshit for 4 hours straight, but like, if I'm going to get roasted potentially if it actually terrifyingly works, I would rather do it when I have more than like, or where I'm not sitting at less than 10. That's all. You'd be a legend. Fair enough, fair enough. I guess if, like, Jabroni Mike were to, like, sit there and roast me for interrupting his stream for, like, 2 raiders coming over, I guess it would get attention on my channel. The issue is that I don't think there's any overlap or interest in Jabroni Mike and whatever the fuck I'm doing over here. Maybe there is. I have not seen enough of his stuff. I just have seen the Warrens and whatever the fuck him and Fred Knutsen's realty show is. People would come and follow just for the name. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, I am an eepy little bot. I'm an eepy little guy. So I think, since all the people I know personally, not personally, but like I've watched and stuff aren't on right now. He's watching YouTube poops right now. Could you fucking imagine? Could you fucking imagine? That would be hilarious. It'd just be like, hey guys, I just got finished, like, kinda drawing for 4 hours, even though I'm not really gonna get much done. Let's go watch YouTube poop. Let's go back to the year of 2012 and watch some YouTube poop. Do they make new YouTube poop? Or is he, like, legit watching, like, videos from, like, when I was, like, in fucking junior high and shit? Oh no, that YouTube poop, it wouldn't be 10 years old, it'd be, like, 15 years old at this point. Shit. Over 15. It says viewer submitted. Okay, so that could be a mixed bag. Especially since if Mike's audience is a little bit older. I say a little bit older, but what I mean is by mine and your age rather than like my sisters and younger age. But anyway, I got off track on my signing off. I am Eepy. I'm an Eepy little bot. I am about to go into sleep mode, or at least like relax mode after this. Shutting down Spite.exe, shutting down like everything else. Hi, Adam. Hi. Thank you for testing out that redeem, though. I was genuinely wondering if it works. Now, the logic behind this redeem is that it's supposed to count how many times you've logged on total. But anyway, hello, goodbye. I am going to sign off for the night. I'm going to rest. And we're gonna call that good here. Have a good night, everyone. Not that scream, that's...